All right, welcome back. Hour number 2, Idaho Sports Talk. We'll hook you up with a 4-pack of tickets to the Boise Hawks game a week from tonight, actually. And that's Feed Your Face night, which means that's free food for your family of 4. We're Prater the Ballgame, 208-424-9300 on the Fat Guys Fresh Deli hotline. Well, the old college football hour, and I think it was Mike Prater that said this morning, this is going to be the last college football hour that we're really going to have to, I don't know, fish for some big time topics because training camp, fall camp, it's just so close from now. Plus, Mountain West Media Days next week, Prater. This stuff's going to take care of itself at that point, man.
I'm looking forward to it, ball game. We're getting closer and closer. You can feel it all the time. So, yeah, next week at this time, we'll be live from Vegas, not you and I, but we're sending Bob down on Tuesday with live reports. Bob will have at least 9 reports. No, wait, Prater math. 7 reports over 3 days, at least 7 live reports from Vegas. The reason why they don't send us down is because after the first one, they probably couldn't find us.
Bummer, man. Yep, Bob will do the job for us down there, Prater. Now, 2 days ago, we talked about it with Hank Bachmeier, how he wasn't chosen to represent Boise State and kind of go down there and say the company line, which he is really good at, at Mountain West Media Days. Rather, they chose offensively John Ojukwu, who's going to be a 6th-year player, is a first-team All-Mountain West left tackle, probably going to get drafted or put himself in position to be drafted next year. So, okay, maybe you can say, okay. And I said on this show, I felt, you know what? Andy Avalos doesn't want more on Hank's plate. Don't go down there and do the dog and pony song and dance and say the company line. We'll have OJ take care of it. We want you focusing on football. That's what I thought.
And now?
And now I BJ tweeted it. I can't remember where I saw it from. Probably BJ there, that Andy Avalos and this staff did not nominate Hank Bachmeier for the preseason All Mountain West team. Now, I guess the procedure for this would be every coach can nominate whoever they think they want to nominate on their team for Mountain West all conference preseason recognition. And then you're going on the ballot, so to speak.
For example, Bob and BJ have both told us, and Bob was talking about this in our production meeting yesterday. Colorado State, I think, nominated at least one player on every position.
They did. And then you can nominate, they nominated their quarterback, Cade Millen, who has not even taken a snap yet.
Correct.
And Colorado State nominated him, Hank Bachmeier, going into his 4th season. Now, Boise State did have players that it nominated, but the quarterback wasn't one of them. And, okay, I guess I'm doing this again. I think this is weird, man. I do. Why? And it's almost like before, Prater, with Avalos, like, I think this whole, hey, let's not put anything on Hank's plate strategy, if that is what they're doing, I think now it's backfiring because everybody's scratching their heads and what, Hank not even nominated? Yeah, he might not have been selected as the preseason All Mountain West quarterback. There's the Logan Bonners, there's the Jake Hainers, but I think Hank would be in the mix. I think he's the next guy there. I don't know. I think this is a snub. I do.
I think it's a snub. I think it's a massive mistake until Andy Avalos stands up and tells us otherwise. What that means in terms of Prater saying it's a massive mistake down the road, I don't know. Andy Avalos knows how to run this football team. BJ dug a little deep and found out that Boise State has a policy, and maybe it's had a policy for a long time. And I don't know if it's the sports information department. I don't know if this goes all the way back to Cutter, Hawkins, Pete, Harson, whoever. But if you weren't on the last year's all-conference football team, anything from first team to honorable mention, we do not nominate you this year. That is ridiculous. That's a horrible policy. Get rid of that. Or explain to me why that's a policy. That's ridiculous. Every season should be a fresh start.
Yeah.
Every season should be a reward. And I go back to last year. Why wasn't Hank Bachmeier an honorable mention quarterback? I need a little bit deeper information in terms of, was that, again, he not nominated by Andy Avalos and or Tim Plow? Go back and look at all the stats last year, individual stats in the Mountain West. Hank Bachmeier was a top 4 quarterback in pretty much everything.
Yep.
And the 3 that are in front of him have either moved on or they're being nominated or they're going to Vegas next week. So they're all being celebrated. Hank Bachmeier statistically is one of the 4 best quarterbacks in the Mountain West Conference with all the names you just threw out there. Why wasn't Hank Bachmeier honorable mention last year? That's a little fishy to me. Why does this policy exist at Boise State? That's a stupid policy. Let's get rid of that one. And why is Hank Bachmeier, as we've been talking about, continually get snubbed? Didn't show up for pro day to throw to Khalil Shakir for whatever reason they threw out there. Last week was not on the invite list of Vegas for media days. Today, not showing up on the preseason all-conference ballot because the coaching staff didn't nominate him. Is this a chip on the shoulder thing? Is this a Hank Bachmeier, I need to focus on football thing? I need answers, ball game. I got lots of questions. I need answers.
Yeah, I mean, okay, we want you to focus only on football, Hank. We don't want to bring you to Vegas, but that shouldn't. Yeah, but we're still going to put you on the ballot. You're a 4-year starter at quarterback, and yeah, that's their policy. So you have to be an all-conference player the year before to nominate you for an all-con. That's just Boise State's own personal policy that no other team obviously subscribes to in this conference. I mean,
that we know of.
There's players that are on this ballot at quarterback who've never taken a snap in the Mountain West. Hank's taken more Mountain West snaps than any active Mountain West quarterback, I would assume. Bonner's only been in the league 1 year, Hainer just 2. So I'm sure Hank is kind of the senior veteran quarterback of this group. And he's so good at saying the company line too. Like, it's just odd that for whatever reason, he's not representing this program right now.
Somebody's making decisions.
Yeah.
Somebody's making decisions.
Is it just us? 208-424-9300. Fat Guys Fresh Deli Hotline. You're a Boise State fan. We're not. We just cover the team, but we think this is somewhat suspicious. I think this is kind of odd. It's eerie. It's weird. I don't really get this. Are we just trying to stir up a story, you think? 208-424-9300. I'd like to hear your opinion on this. Call us or text us on this. Hank Bachmeier left off the ballot for the preseason All Mountain West team, which means nothing, as you know. It's all Mountain West preseason team. But still, this feels like some type of snub. Even if it is your policy, I still think if you're Andy Avalos or someone, no. Hank's the leader of this team. I mean, there's a lot of players that probably made the ballot. I would like to see who Boise State has on there, but I guess if that's the case, you have to at least be honorable mention? Or is it first or second team?
It's anything. Honorable mention. He was not honorable mention last year. He was not honorable mention last year, even though statistically he was one of the 4 best quarterbacks in the Mountain West Conference, regardless of what a lot of you fans think. And I know a lot of you fans don't like Hank Bachmeier, and I know he's got warts, and I know he's got issues, and I know he's not the shiniest toy for a guy that's been playing and doing this for 3 consecutive years as your first game opening day starter. So I get it. Nobody's saying Hank Bachmeier is the next Kellen Moore. But to tell me that he's not one of the 4 best quarterbacks in the Mountain West, tell me he's not a preseason all-conference guy, tell me that for the last 3 years, Brian Harsin and Andy Avalos, both, and 2 different coaching staffs, 2 different quarterback coaches, 3 different offensive coordinators have said consistently one thing about Hank Bachmeier. He's a great leader. He's a great leader. He commands presence in the locker room. The players look up to him. As a matter of fact, at one point last year when there was a quarterback competition, one of the answers was, it's maybe the tiebreaker is the fact that he has such a strong presence in the locker room where players love and respect him because he is such a good leader. And then all of a sudden you don't nominate him because of a stupid policy, and you don't send him to Vegas because of who knows why. Maybe Andy Avalos has an answer. And maybe next week we're going to find out what that answer is, and we can sit and talk about that answer. Until I find out what that answer is, ridiculous.
Let's go to Tom. He's holding on the Fat Guys Fresh Deli Hotline. Tom, and what do you think of this? Hank Bachmeier first, not representing the team in Las Vegas next week for media days. And then today we hear he was not nominated by the coaching staff for a preseason All Mountain West selection. Your thoughts, Tom?
The answer is easy. He's not the best quarterback on the team. He's had trouble staying on the field. Granted, he plays hard and plays with reckless abandon, but he still plays with that freshman reckless abandon he should have outgrew into his junior year. You want to give me a little bit of a COVID excuse? I'll take some of it, but last year he didn't progress beyond that. The other thing is Hank Bachmeier he's an excellent quarterback until he makes that one mistake that either puts their win in jeopardy or loses them the game. I'm going to tell you guys, by midseason, the kid from Oregon State or the freshman, they're going to be under a lot of pressure to play that freshman to keep him from transferring, because that's the nature of college football. And I'm going to tell you, Hank Bachmeier, I think, and I'm not rooting for it. I like the guy. I appreciate the way he plays. I just think by the end of the year, he's gonna be real comfortable with that clipboard.
Hank Bachmeier played every single game last year. You know that, right, dude? And he was one of the top 4 quarterbacks in the entire conference.
I do know that. It's a pretty low bar to jump over. It's
a
not
pretty
a
low
high
bar to jump over,
over
playing every single game. You're talking about statistics from 3 years ago or 2 years ago or the COVID thing. Hank Bachmeier proved last year that he is a steady presence on this football team, and he is dependable, and he is available.
I agree with that, and he did outgrow some of that, and I will stand corrected on that. I'm saying is being the best quarterback in this conference, I think that's a small measure. I won't say it's a low. Let me rephrase the low bar. If just being the best quarterback in this conference is your goal, then that's not I don't think that's a Boise State standard. That should be a given. You shouldn't be one of the best quarterbacks in this conference. You should be considered, in the conversation where a really good quarterback on a national basis. The other thing is this, and I get the injury thing, and he was out there and he played in all the games. He did. Was he at 100%? And again, I'm not criticizing that because he plays hard. He doesn't jake it. He doesn't take plays off. That reckless abandon is great. But ultimately, he still makes that you're almost kind of waiting for that sword of Damocles to fall with Hank. And I'm just saying the talent is now there to push him. And the talent is now there. It's like, it could be, what have you done for me lately? And again, they could be, the kid from Oregon State is going to push him. And again, they may just be under pure pressure to play the freshman to avoid him from transferring.
Appreciate the call, Tom.
I mean, the only thing I'll agree with that is that, yes, we're all sitting on pins and needles, and we have for 3 years, every single snap, waiting for Hank Bachmeier to make a mistake. You can't sugarcoat that. That's Hank Bachmeier's reputation. He could play 19,000 consecutive games without a mistake, and we're still sitting on pins and needles waiting for him to make that next mistake. But I think he did take great strides last year in doing what he had to do. The listener, I appreciate the passion. I appreciate your answers, but we haven't seen Vidlak play. Nobody's seen Vidlak play. He has never played in college. He last played in high school. We saw him in spring. He had a nice arm. I don't know what that means. We saw him in the spring game where he was the backup. And Hank Bachmeier's been pushed for 3 consecutive years by some pretty darn good quarterbacks, including Jack Sears, who is the subject of my soapbox later on today.
Yeah, I thought
so. Yeah. I just don't buy a lot of that stuff. That's a guy who doesn't like Hank Bachmeier, and I get why
a lot
fans
of people don't.
like. I get it. I'm not going to dispute that. I get it. But that didn't answer our question about why Hank Bachmeier is treated the way he's been treated the last couple of weeks, publicly.
And Prater, another thing I want to add on this sucker with Hank, it kind of goes back to what this whole basis of the college football hour topic was. Why wasn't Hank nominated by his head coach? Why wasn't Hank asked to go represent this team at media days, where typically a 4-year starting quarterback, that's like the easiest, peasiest answer of all. You always you would think that 4-year starting quarterback to represent your team.
Absolutely.
It doesn't make, and OJ's going to be wonderful too, but maybe it is. That caller before, Tom, was saying, that he's saying that this coaching staff doesn't think Hank's that good. So they're not putting him out there for all this because they're not even sure he's going to be the starter. I disagree with all of that.
I disagree with that.
All right, let's get to Jeff. He's holding on the line. Welcome to the Fat Guys Fresh Deli Hotline. Jeff, what's your take on this Hank mystery?
What I'm thinking is he may have gotten together with Plow and Avalos, and they said, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Let's not worry about being first team now. Let's get you to the point where you're first team at the end of the season. So
okay,
I kind of think that might be their mindset.
And we speculated on that yesterday. And I personally, dude, I think you're spot on. And I think that they have had those conversations. And the only thing that really the only red flag with that kind of train of thought is that he has handled the pressure. He has handled the spotlight. He has handled the leadership duties really well for 3 consecutive years. So maybe for him, it's just about focusing and going out there and being a better football player for 12, 13, 14 games. If we're going to speculate, and I have a whole bunch of things on the wall and I'm throwing my dart, I'm aiming for that spot right there, what you just said, dude.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate you, Jeff. Yeah, I'll tell you this. Hank Bachmeier is better in the press conference than he is on the blue. You leave a Hank presser and you're like, whoa, that's a smart kid. That's the leader of the team. Like, he sucks you in, man. Tractor beam. You suck me right in. He does that.
Is he kind of the Baker Mayfield of Boise State football? Just kind of the commercial guy that just can't quite get it done on the field?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is such a big year for getting it done on the field, right? I mean, this can answer so many questions. Just a monster season and opportunity for Hank and the quarterbacks here. I just don't know. I think it's weird. And I think our listeners, most of them think the same way. Hank not getting that nomination from Coach Avalos, that's kind of odd as a 4-year starting quarterback. But hey, that's their policy, whatevs, or maybe like we were saying too, they just, for whatever reason, they're going to keep Hank Bachmeier real close to the vest this offseason. I mean, I can't imagine they're worried about Hank going down to Vegas with loose gums and talking all this jog. No, that's not who he is.
That's not the reason why they made this decision.
And I would imagine all the other media members from all the other cities in the Mountain West, they're going to get down there and be like, wait, what? They sent Ojukwu?
Who will not be quoted in a single paper or newspaper story or radio show.
He will be passed on.
Yes.
I've been to the Mountain West Media Days. We all have. And you have the list, and there's certain athletes. Okay, never heard of that guy. Not sure what he's going to bring to my show. I'm not going to make a request to talk to the middle linebacker at Air Force. Never heard of him. That's what's going to be the case with OJ. And maybe that's what Andy wants. I don't know. He's like, we're going back blue collar. We're going under the radar. I'm not doing anything. I'm not sending. I mean, who knows? But I agree with you on this too. Those conversations have happened. They don't just this is a serious. Their practice schedule for next year is already set down to the minute, brother. You know, I mean,
I cannot wait for fall camp.
Weird.
We always say that because fall camp is fun. In this particular case, I can't wait to see if some of this comes to fruition with the way they're handling the quarterback during fall camp. If indeed there might be a quarterback controversy.
Our competition. Now, this would probably fall more on the line of a controversy. Last year, we had a competition. Hank and Jack, and it was straight up. Now, tell me who's going to be your quarterback. This year, it seems like it's Hank, and then who's going to be QB2. But
if there's any kind of a red flag, any kind of smoke, you will not be hearing me say the word competition. It will be a controversy.
Plenty of text messages coming in. We'll get to those during feedback finale. I'm going to say one thing just because I want you guys to stick around in hour number 3. Mike Prater has said that, I'll just spill this beans right now. This is going to be Prater's going to take a few shows off. He's got a bunch of stuff going on. But he has told us that during feedback finale, Mike Prater has a tease that he has really big news in his life that he is going to bring to the show and announce it on Tuesday. Dude.
I didn't even say my life. I just said I have a major announcement to make on Tuesday. Yeah. I will be back on Tuesday, and I'm going to bring a major announcement that's going to rock your world.
Oh, my gosh, Prater, I can't believe you're doing this to me. I love it. Okay, but we'll talk more about that in feedback finale. How about the lineup of guests that will appear on Idaho Sports Talk over the next few days? Some of the biggest names when it comes to Boise State players currently in the NFL. We'll talk about it as the college football hour continues. Prater in the ball game.